and talk about why we find ourselves so often stuck and why it's so easy to turn to these methods of sedation and fix the actual problem, and why the stress becomes a story, becomes the main story in the first place, and that is fear, right? So my message to you guys is that underneath all of these problems, underneath all of these expectations that aren't panning out, all the things that you want to do that don't seem to be working, or the steps that you're not taking, is fear. It's the fact that you're scared. You and I tend to live life in a way that makes it so that way the stakes are too high. And society reinforces this. If I don't nail this project, or if I don't show up on time or say yes to my boss, even though I don't want to, I could get fired. And then I'll run out of money, and then my family will starve, and we'll all die early, right? And this is just kind of like how the brain works. Or if I don't, like, what gets in the way of working out? Taking the time to work out. And what is it that your time is taken up by? Just doing other things, making sure that you've trying to ensure your own safety. It's like humans are by nature trained to move away from pain, to move towards safety. We just want to survive, even if that means sacrificing the greatness on the other side. Even if it's just a little bit of pain, or a little bit of discomfort, or a little bit of risk, right? Why is it that so few people take the step and like invest their finances, and instead just put it in a no risk savings account instead? Because they don't want to lose their money, right? And if I invest my money in some asset, there's a chance, no matter how small, that I might lose it. And that fear keeps so many people from moving forward and doing what's required to become who they want to become and to have what they want to have. And so all of this overthinking and all of this second guessing, right? And the times where you feel lonely and alone, like no one gets you, no one knows what you're going through. How many of you have ever had a moment where that thought creeps in, like, man, I just feel like these problems that I'm dealing, these burdens that I'm carrying are unique to me. Like no one gets me. Yeah. And why is that? Why do I feel alone in those circumstances? Because I don't talk about it. And why do I not talk about it? Because I'm afraid of what people might say, afraid of what they might think of me. Right? I'm afraid of the ramifications of their judgment. Maybe they won't want to be my friend anymore if they knew this about me, my deep, dark secret. This way that I feel like I am inadequate, like I don't measure up. Maybe they'll judge me just as hard as I'm judging myself. And so this conversation of fear underlies everything. And it wants to stay down there. It wants to stay buried. It wants to build these layers on top of itself. The stress and the hamster wheel of being stuck and sedating, right? So that way you never actually see what the root problem is, and therefore you never actually do anything about it. But now that you've seen the root issue, now you can do something about it. Now the cat's out of the bag. And the way to conquer fear is to attack it from both angles, right? So you can come at it from the inside out, which is actually looking at those stories and dealing with the conversation of fear and what do I do with it? What do I do instead? Why am I afraid? Right? What am I really afraid of? Is this a rational fear or is this irrational fear? I find that so many of the things that I'm afraid of are really irrational. But until I have the courage to ask, find out, I'll never know. I'll just continue being ruled by these fears. And so that's the inside out. The other way is from the outside in, right? As we just described, this position of being afraid, being scared, leads me to not taking action in a lot of areas. But as I overcome the fear of taking action and start to move, start to get in shape, start to change my diet, start to tell my friends, right, about things that just mess with me, things I don't want to hold inside anymore, ways in which I want to be free. I want to be free to be me. Those actions start to also just diminish the beast within these fear stories that have this stranglehold on us becoming who we were meant to become.